Hello, this is your wise-ass astrologer, or your Barbie-brained astrologer. If you think being a plastic toy is a more acceptable image for me, great. I will deliver wise-ass barbs from the sky to whatever fantasy land you are currently living in. But the stars are not just silent plastic toys that hang above our window. We do interact with them, yeah? So let's see what some of the interactions are in the coming week. Mercury in Virgo is the final dispositor of everything in the sky. Everything will be traced back to Mercury. We have Mercury going direct in Virgo, ruling the Sun in Virgo, and the Virgo new moon. We have Venus in Leo, and it is ruling Mars in Libra, and Venus in Leo is also ruling and squaring Jupiter in Taurus. Now, when all of this comes together, it basically means that we have to show off how we fight for equality in the most dramatic, theatrical, over-the-top way possible. We should be confident in projecting what we find beautiful about ourselves, but be patient enough to relax and let our opportunities for our love and our art unfold. This is a learning process, and first and foremost, we have to be aware that there is a skill to this. All of this does involve skill and self-awareness right now. Oh, and the Sun in Virgo is going to oppose Neptune in Pisces. So sometimes we got to take our skills to fantasy land, so our fantasies will be more on the ball, baby. Barbie can't be slipping on bacon grease. The feet with Neptune and Pisces will be slipping all over the place, but we've got to clean that dollhouse up, says Mercury and the Sun in Virgo. You know, folks, astrology has a saying, as above, so below. So occasionally I have to stop looking at what's going on above in the sky to check out what is happening below here on Earth. I might fancy myself as a reclusive rolling stone in the stars. Heck, I've got my natal Neptune right there in my old 12th house in Sagittarius, driven by my natal Jupiter in my 9th house in Libra. But that natal Jupiter also drives my 3rd house cusp in Pisces. So as nice and symmetrical as the stars might seem to me as I look out yonder, I have to accept where they take my feet here on Earth. The good, the bad, and the ugly. So like a vagabond, I wandered into my local movie theater because I thought maybe the latest Clint Eastwood movie would be playing or something. But it turns out it was Barbie? So I followed the crowd. They were looking for truth in some plastic-ass simulation of society. It wasn't no Dirty Harry, but I saw the movie anyway. Now, there's stars controlling us, our thoughts, and our actions, like Mattel controls Barbie Land. Well, maybe that's too deep to think about right now. So let's just dive into Mercury in Virgo and the Sun in Virgo and reflect on how to superficially pick away at our self-confidence so we can be better like Barbie as Mercury goes direct. So what's the first thing we notice about Barbie and Ken right now? I'm quite sorry, I don't actually have a Barbie doll on me at the moment. Sorry about that. But if Barbie and Ken were here, the first thing we would notice would be their perfect abs, right? Virgo is all about the abdominals and the midsection. And the combination of the Sun, Moon, and Mercury in Virgo can make us very self-aware. So we look at Barbie and Ken, and then we analyze our own abs and midsection. And then we move down to our lower abdomen too, and wonder if we need a Brazilian wax. I bet you Barbie and Ken spend all day plucking out hairs around their belly button. That's probably even what they do on their dates together. How much do you want to bet? I'll bet you a Brazilian wax. It was Brazil's Independence Day last week on September 7th, and sometimes people get self-aware and anxious and they want to make their lower abdomen free and independent of body hair, so they get a Brazilian wax. That's what's going on down there in Brazil land. Oh, and I'll tell you what else is going on down there in Brazil. There was an article in the Brazilian news about my Brazilian astrologer friend, Marcia Fervienza, who is suing the astrologer of the Brazilian pop singer Anitta, because this astrologer took my friend Marcia's class and stole her content without crediting her. So don't steal my take on Virgo and the Brazilian wax, or Clint Eastwood, aka Dirty Harry, will give you a thorough wise-ass waxing, punk. But really, don't fret too much if society says you are dirty or hairy, because however you choose to deal with, handle, or maintain your bush is fine. Virgo is all about having something to deal with, sort through, and maintain, specifically as it pertains to our abdomens. And if it's a form of self-expression, even better, because Venus in Leo now feeds off style that comes from confident self-expression. Now back to the Virgo Sun opposing Neptune in Pisces. Don't get too annoyed with yourself for accepting a fantasy or illusion. If we are really high-strung right now, Fantasies will allow us to unwind. We have to accept that we aren't perfect all of the time, and we've got to work on things. And when we get our shit together, we can be beautiful. Neptune in Pisces is about accepting a fantasy, and the Sun in Virgo is about dealing with reality. And with the Virgo Sun ruling Venus in Leo, when we are confident that we can deal with reality, our beauty will shine. We might want things to be perfect in our real life, but sometimes we have to accept the fantasy so we don't get too stressed out while we are getting our shit together. So don't be anxious about being picked apart by fools who live in glass houses. We sometimes might be worried whether or not our egos can deal with it, or we are worried how clean our life is when it's held up to scrutiny. But we improve on what we need to improve on, and accept whatever image people want to throw on us, because it's not a problem we can't deal with. Because as astrologers, we actually know what we're here to improve at, and we are doing just that. One thing I receive from astrology is that it brings me a level of awareness that enables me to pinpoint and identify things with precision. And that helps me deal with life. I'm not into mythology, fantasy, Star Wars, Barbie, or Ninja Turtles. But sure, I can accept that sometimes people need a fantasy to deal with the stress of life. And that Barbie needs a swimming pool to cry in when her home isn't perfect, so she doesn't have to cry in a sewer or a gutter like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. But at the same time, and I do mean literally at the same time, we don't want to drown in our fantasy world. Like Barbie and Ken, the Ninja Turtles also have perfect abs. I mean, given all the pizza they eat, I don't know how the fuck that happens. Oh, they are a bloody cartoon, that's how. But you are not a fucking cartoon. You live here on Earth and have to deal with real life shit. Pizza grease gets absorbed in your Virgo guts. You're not a Ninja Turtle where you can say cowabunga and pizza grease miraculously slides off of your midsection and drips down into your magical Pisces sewer at your feet, where your abs remain looking like a George Foreman grill. I didn't get a Barbie swimming pool for me to cry into when I was a kid. And maybe I don't have a bikini wax that Mattel would approve of. Tough shit. Saturn is also in Pisces now, and that, unlike Neptune in Pisces, teaches us that if we accept what is real, accept what is practical, it will make us tougher. That's what the Barbie movie was trying to impart, specifically the part about Barbie having flat feet, because Saturn in Pisces always wants arches in the feet. So after the ground absorbs our weight, we can bounce back up on the balls of our feet and keep climbing. Now, as far as Venus and Leo ruling and squaring Jupiter and Taurus this week, finding something that your heart is into is the hard part. But once your heart locks into that groove, your beauty will flow, and flow, and flow, and flow, and flow some more. And it can lead to opportunities after making some adjustments. Just make sure your beauty has vitality so you don't end up going to the same well too many times, treading too much on the same old reliable path of luck. Now, when Barbie first debuted at the Toy Fair a couple of years ago in 1959, March 9th, 1959 to be exact, Venus was in Aries. So if we accept in this hypothetical fantasy that Barbie has her natal Venus in Aries, she wants kids to be headstrong, attracted to aggressive colors, and precocious in their fashion sense. And Barbie is probably a very bossy interior decorator too. So don't get bullied into Barbie's vision of beauty. And Mars in Libra now has to fight back against this. Mars in Libra is at its best when fighting back. Libra rules the kidneys, lumbar region, and the bladder. And Mars is, of course, how we take action and fight. Don't let people with Venus in Aries bully you around. Don't let anybody push you around. If Barbie gets very bossy and starts dictating what the color scheme should be, now is a good time to fight back. And how does Mars in Libra fight back? By peeing in Barbie's swimming pool. That's how. See how that fucks with our color scheme. That's how Mars in Libra fights back and balances things out. Now you might be thinking, hey WiseAss, isn't making a big production about peeing in someone's swimming pool a bit dramatic? Well, right now we have to be a bit dramatic and fight with whatever style points we've got, because Mars is in Libra and it's being ruled by Venus in Leo. So it's about being proud of taking action with your kidneys. The moon entered Virgo on early Wednesday morning at 1:18 a.m. Eastern Time in the US. It then opposed Saturn in Pisces at 6:30 a.m. and will conjunct Mercury in Virgo at 6:04 p.m. Eastern Time on Wednesday night. So that's more of what I've been saying, that we are trying to be perfect. But we have to accept that we do have to work on things a bit more. But as long as we do attend to things, we can later take time to reflect appreciatively on how we attended to things as the Virgo moon trines retrograde Jupiter in Taurus at 8:27 a.m. Eastern Time on Thursday morning. The new moon occurs at 9:39 p.m. Thursday night, and then trines retrograde Uranus in Taurus shortly after 11:37 p.m., before opposing Neptune in Pisces at 6:30 a.m. Friday morning. Again, these times are all Eastern time in the U.S. Virgo does preside over the liver. It breaks things down and metabolizes things. And with the trines from the moon to Jupiter and Uranus in Taurus, and the opposition to Neptune in Pisces, don't get stuck drinking more than you can handle on Thursday night, more than you can deal with, because you feel you have to show off. The moon enters Libra at 1:44 p.m. on Friday. All right, all you stoners on the East Coast who love the number 420. Mercury goes direct at 4:21 p.m. Eastern Time on Friday afternoon. 4:21 and 11 seconds to be exact. So on Friday in the late afternoon, if you meet up with your friends at 4:20, after work, after school, after your Taco Bell run, and you light up a doobie at 4:21, when Mercury goes direct, then you'll be thinking clearly, I guess. The moon in Libra will conjunct Mars at 3:53 p.m. on Saturday afternoon, and as it does, it will be ruled by and form a sextile from Venus in Leo. A good time to promote physical activity, yeah? Sweating, especially sweating from cardio activity, is visually beautiful and sexy during this Moon-Mars conjunction. And eat a meal with protein afterwards so your muscles will recover. And please hydrate. It's important to stay hydrated during sexual activity and take care of your urinary tract as the moon moves through Scorpio on Monday and Tuesday and is ruled by that Mars in Libra. The Mercury and Jupiter trine in Virgo and Taurus respectively will be a nice touch as we close out the Sun stay in Virgo late next week. A calm analysis as we reflect on our journey, which will be highlighted by an interesting Sun-Moon square at 29 degrees of Virgo and Sagittarius, the last degree of a sign. And those signs are indeed ruled by Mercury and Jupiter. So, like I was saying when I was talking about the moon transits, Virgo is also about the liver. So with Mercury and the Sun in Virgo opposite Neptune in Pisces, we have to accept an illusion if it helps us manage our anxiety and limit our alcohol intake when our livers can't handle more alcohol and can't continue to metabolize it. Which leads me into my story about the Beatles. There's a story out there about John Lennon and the actress Jane Mansfield. I don't know if it's true, but anyway. Now you remember what I was saying earlier about Mars and Libra and how it likes to fight back? I mean, how can you not remember? Anyway, so John Lennon had his natal Mars in Libra, and Jane Mansfield had her Mercury in Aries, opposing John Lennon's Mars in Libra. And at this social gathering, a social gathering that I wasn't invited to, John Lennon was annoyed that Jane Mansfield was being really aggressive and handsy with how she was trying to flirt with him. So what did he supposedly do? He peed in her drink when she wasn't looking. Now you might think that story is disgusting and gross, but it might be helpful if you are trying to curb your alcohol intake, or it might help you quit drinking altogether if you are perpetually paranoid that someone might have peed in your drink, even if that is just an illusion. If it helps you get yourself together and be more on the ball, accept that illusion. So I feel good about what we talked about in Virgo psychoanalysis today. We talked about pizza grease, pubic hair, and then punctuated it by peeing in people's pools, the latter for Mars and Libra. Now, the Sun and Mercury in Virgo might think that is disgusting at first, but the more evolved Sun and Mercury in Virgo realizes that that is real life, and we have to deal with these things. So peace, love, stars, and listen to the Beatles. But please, 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 don't pee on my piano. Well, unless it sounds very melodic.